Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know, yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah.
Okay, Josh and Molly, welcome to the Matthew and Rizzle show.
Thanks for having us.
Hello.
Yeah, really excited to start talking and dive into everything that you've been cooking up for FlyFrogs. I know we had you on the Whip not too long ago, and then you had a podcast as well that you've been on. Full disclosure, I do own some FlyFrogs. I think Rizzle has a disclosure of his own. But before we get into all that good stuff, I'm curious, Josh and Molly, whoever wants to go first, if you want to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about what you were doing pre-crypto, pre-NFTs, and then sort of what led you down the path that you are on today, where you're creating this amazing NFT project called FlyFrogs.
Sure. So I'm Molly. I have a background in web development and Web 2. And about a year and a half ago, I became a full-time stay-at-home mom. So I was just hanging with the kids, browsing Twitter, and I start to read about this Web3 stuff and DeFi and crypto, and I started reading about it. And as soon as it clicked with me, I was like, this is it. This, decentralization, there's something going on here. So I would tell Josh, at dinner, I would tell him something I read, and he'd go, yeah, cool. But then I told him about the PFP NFT projects, and he looks at them and he's like, hey, we could do this. So that's how we got into this space. We started working on the project right then. And I'll let Josh give you a little more background on him.
Yeah, so I have a very different skill set than Molly. I have a background in industrial design, and I'm a toy inventor. So I spend my days with part of a team coming up with ideas for new toys, and then making prototypes of them, and then showing those prototypes to toy companies and selling them to toy companies. So I get to I'm usually spend my time in 3 dimensions, like making real physical models that we show to toy companies and then also to retailers, and then sell them in, and they become real toys that I get to buy. I love taking our kids to, we just walk the aisles of Target or Walmart every month or so and look at all the new toys out there. And a lot of them are my toys, which is really exciting. So yeah, I'm from the 3-dimensional design world for the most part. But when I saw these PFP projects that Molly showed me, and I was like, wow, I can do that. I can help you with that, because we've always been looking for a project where we could combine our 2 skills together, and we hadn't found one yet. And this just seemed perfect. So what was that, a Friday night, Molly?
Yeah, it was a perfect fit. You just started doodling right away.
Yeah, like we talked about it at dinner, and then instead of like cleaning the dishes, we just sat there at the table with the kids doodling animals until we drew a silly looking frog, and then we got started on the project that night.
This is probably like a great segue for like my portion of the disclosure here. So little did they know, when they started this project together as like a nice couples project, they also were going to adopt a Rizzle into the family. And here I am. So I work with the FlyFrogs. I also own a bunch of frogs and flies. So full disclosure, I actually stumbled upon the project in the wild and just like really loved Josh's frogs for no reason other than like, my well-documented love of like googly eyes and like funny creatures and stuff. So I just like the frogs and noticed that they just released at a time when there were so many projects being released, and it seemed like it sort of got lost in the shuffle. And I hit them up with this like crazy scheme. I was like, scheme is probably not the right word, plan I was like, I would love to figure out a way to like get this project off the ground, and I can help spin up a crazy. I had minted this frog that just looked like a commander. I was like, this is the frog that should obviously be like in charge of all these like wacky frogs, and came up with this like weird narrative. And so, nothing was moving for a while, for the project. And so we started working together, and I brought my, other buddy who is, new-ish to the NFT scene, but got like real deep into it real quick, Chupacabra on, Twitter. And, we were like, we got to figure out a way to get this off the ground, and, talked to Molly, and immediately knew like Molly. I feel like I connected with Molly on like a weird, like wacky Web3 level, where she just had like a bunch of really strange ideas to go of like places to go with this project. And I feel like probably being fresh to the space like helps both of them like sort of see it from a different light, and like being outside of the box, but still having like tremendous skill sets like in the area. So my plan was sort of like, you just need some like people deeply entrenched in the Web3 like community to sort of like, get on board and help integrate this project. And so far so good, man. We sold through like real quick once we updated what we call the toad map with the plans. And I don't want to get like too deep into what all that is, and want to let the spotlight be on Josh and Molly for the bulk of the podcast. But I do feel like I have to like preface this thing with like, yes, I sort of like LARP as a commander frog periodically, and like, do have a stake in this project being successful. But I was coming in from the outside, and honestly just fell in love with Josh and Molly, and was like, yo, you need to adopt a Rizzle crazy commander frog to help you all out. So Matt, that's how we're here, dude. Glad to know you own a FlyFrog as well.
Yeah, you had us at, hey, what if I impersonated a crazy commander frog on Twitter? We were sold as soon as you said that. Because I had already been impersonating a frog on Twitter. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go all in with this. This is going to be amazing.
It's amazing. So I kind of want to go back to like when you guys sold out, because selling out an NFT PFP project is like the most 2021 thing I can imagine. It has to be quite surreal too on the inside. So after you got your Commander Frog on board, got the toad map in hand, and then you got that really like super quick sellout. Like I remember when I started scooping a couple, and then I found like the transparent like color pattern, and I could overlay it on the backgrounds, and it just like started looking so dope. Like it almost immediately sold out. So what was it like seeing that happen? And then what did y'all do next after that sellout? And like, what are you doing now? I'm curious about all that.
It was crazy because, we started the project, I said, on that Friday night, and then we basically worked every night. So we'd put I work as a toy inventor, Molly's a mom, we'd put the kids to bed, and then we'd start working on this project. And it took us 3 weeks, like staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning to get the project out there. And we opened it up, and like, how many frogs did we sell?
I think we sold about 250 frogs, and then some more trickled in.
And Rizzle bought like how many of them? Like 10 of them. So
Rizzle owned like 12 frogs, and we're like, oh my god, who is this guy?
Who is this guy?
Owns 12 frogs.
I just really love the frogs, man. Like right off the bat.
And then we started talking to Rizzle and got him and Chupacabra on board. But then what was it, like 3 or 4 weeks elapsed where we were, maybe selling 1 or 2 frogs a day, and we were like, huh. We were coming
up with a plan with Rizzle and Chupa.
But it was like, I really love our frogs. Like, I just wish more people had them and were excited about them, because we had, a little bit of a following. So then when Rizzle had some cryptic tweet and we started selling out, it was like, what is happening? It was totally unexpected, because we had expected, if there was a sellout, we had expected it like a month ago when we opened up the project to minting, not a month later.
Honestly, we had to change the whole toad map that we had worked so hard on. I mean, the core ideas stayed, but they were sort of thinking like it would take a week or a month even to sell out. So we needed to regroup.
I think the feeling for me was like, I was like really excited that people would finally like have frogs and be excited about them and appreciate the art. Like there was a lot of like love of frogs when people were posting the ones that they they minted, I was just so excited that people were like into my artwork. That was really exciting. But I think we really quickly realized like, oh, wait a sec. Now we have way more work to do. Like
we have a community. When?
We have but it was just, but even we're excited. We're excited to just do so much, like, because we had on the toad map that we were going to breed tadpoles, like, and that was going to be way down the line. I'm like, oh, we got to start working on these tadpoles right now. And it's exciting, but I think we realized that, like, wow, we really have to spend, now that the project is successful, we really have to put even more time and effort and energy into it, which is exciting, but it's a lot.
But I think Rizzle's good at keeping us all in check in terms of don't tell everyone everything you're going to do.
Josh always wants to like spill all the alpha. I was like, no, this is like a week's worth of alpha. We could drag this out, man. This is like all
I have all this cool artwork I want to share. Come on.
No, dude, that's one of the things that honestly, I'm actually very amazed at how a lot of other artists from a lot of other projects aren't like just sort of out there doing things like you do. And I'm not really sure why that is, man. I feel like that's one of the things that I immediately connected with you guys about, was because, well, so I, without like doxing your family situation, I like connected with them from like a family standpoint, and I also appreciated that, you know, he wanted to get kids involved. We've done like some kids doodle contests, one that just wrapped up with, I saw you post that octopus one that he redid from the kid that did it. And so I like the family friendly, like goofy angle, which is why, one of the reasons, Matt, why you probably understand why I had to like spin up a second Twitter account, because my first one, you know, regular Twitter account doesn't like always lend itself to that. So I'm like, all right, we need to go this route. I like the goofy, like, I don't know. It was a really cool like community that sprung up in the pond of like frog inclusivity, and there was a lot of frog love, man. Dude, I would be interested to hear Molly's like whole perspective on like, you know, what projects inspired her or not, or like, you know, how she sort of came up with some of the ideas that we've kicked around, like without like dropping like too much alpha. But I feel like, you know, Molly's sort of like the heartbeat of this whole thing. Not that we couldn't obviously have done it without the frogs in the first place, but without leaning on like her skill set and like some of these like interesting concepts she's come up with, I feel like that wouldn't have interested me enough in the first place. So I don't know, Molly, I'm just interested to hear like your whole take on the situation.
Yeah, in terms of like inspiration projects, I mean, I looked at Cool Cats, I looked at Pudgy Penguins. There was another penguin project, Party Penguins. They shared a lot of cool sort of details on their workflow for getting just like the basic minting out. So that was really helpful. So shout out to all those projects. But I also, you know, before getting kind of deep into the PFP space, I was more looking at just, you know, general decentralization, like users owning the product. So I think that's in the back of my head, again, not to drop too much alpha, like how can we do some more interesting things with, you know, owning a piece of the internet, as they say. There's a bunch of like DAO projects going on that I was inspired by. Like there's Tiles DAO, and, you know, all that loot stuff was going on. I'm not an expert in any of this, but all this stuff coming through my Twitter feed, and I was like, man, the people are doing really cool stuff. I think the other thing that's been funny about this is I think that I came up with this original idea, and then I go research, and I'm like, oh, there's like 5 projects that have done something like this. I don't know if that's good or bad. A great minds think alike, maybe, or I don't know. But yeah, I think just kind of experimenting with like how to get people involved and how to grow, how to add value to these tokens. It's just really exciting.
Yeah, and like continuing on that, like adding value, managing the community, growing the pond. Heading into 2022, like let's zoom into FlyFrogs and like spill all the alpha, Josh. Give us your full year plan of like all the crazy things you're thinking about. But then after you talking about FlyFrogs, I'm curious to kind of get both of your opinions on like what will happen to the rest of all of these PFP projects that have emerged this year.
Well, I'm super excited. Like Rizzle mentioned, the doodle contest, the kids only doodle contest. I'm super excited to lean into what we're interested in, which is just having fun, being inclusive of kids and families and everyone. And I think it's just going to include a lot, on my part at least, a lot of artwork. Like, right, Molly, every night I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to bed like at 10. And then it's like 1 or 2 in the morning and I'm still drawing frogs. Like, I just can't stop drawing frogs. It's so fun. I can't go to sleep. I'm always like thinking of a new thing to draw. Like this kid doodle contest, we had a bunch of entrants, like from age like 4 to 13. And I've actually already finished it. I've selected 5 specific frogs that kids drew from 5 different kids, and I'm redrawing them in my style, and we're minting them. Each day we're going to announce the winner and show it, and then mint them as a NFT on mainnet to the kids or their parents who hold them. And it's just so much fun. I like making so much art. I've been doing these live drawing and all the tadpole art. Like, I think I'm excited to just not stop and to just continue to do more and more art because it's fun. And I think people are having fun with it. And that's one of my biggest contributions to this project and to the space. And it's interesting because I've never considered myself an artist until I started this project. Right? Like, I've always considered myself a designer. Like, designers don't make art for the sake of art. They solve problems for people. And I've always had to focus on kids and families, obviously with toy design and toy invention. But yeah, I think that's just something I'm personally gonna lean into. Oh, and then the other thing is the 3D.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what we have on our mind for 2022.
Like, what was it, a couple weeks ago, I 3D printed my frog. So I took the main frog and put it into Fusion. And then I made a CAD file that when you look at it from the right angle, it looks exactly like the PFP. And then you start turning it and it's a 3-dimensional frog. And I printed that out on a couple of my 3D printers. I've been having fun. And we took it out for lunch the other day and took photos of it, like eating lunch. And I take photos of it in like a teacup to like tweet about saying good morning. I'm just having fun.
Getting ready for bed the other day, dude. That was hilarious.
I was like, I put it with my kid's toothbrush with some toothpaste on it and took a picture. I'm just having fun with the 3D printing. And I think that's what I have to offer, is my experience and my tools that I have at home for like prototyping 3-dimensional objects, and also my connections in the toy industry. I think I'm excited to lean into that. You know, once we get past these tadpoles, I'm excited to spend more time and lean into making, just initially at least, just playing around. I want to 3D print out frogs for people, of the frogs that they own, and then mail them to them as prizes. I think people would really like that. And then I imagine it'd be so cool if other people sort of emulated me and like took photos of their frogs like in context and started tweeting about that. I just think that would be fun. So I'm excited to lean into that personally. What about you, Molly?
Yeah, I mean, the 3D stuff's really interesting. And then when we talk about the community ownership and that portion, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do with that, but I think that could be super interesting. Like, if people are, you know, own a piece of a 3D toy project that's out there. I don't know how that would work. I don't know if we're allowed to say that lawyerly, but anyway.
Who cares about that? It'd be so cool if we had like toys come out and then the people who own the frogs get royalties from the toys that sell. I don't know. Who knows? Just thinking out loud, but that would be super cool.
Well, on that point, yeah, again, like, not a lawyer or anything like that, but I'm curious, like, with the owners of the FlyFrogs, like, do they retain the commercial rights to the FlyFrogs, like Bored Ape Yacht Club, and some other like Cryptodes, other PFP projects, or like what's the status on that? Because that's sort of the unlock for what you're talking about in terms of allowing these owners to potentially become to earn revenue from other subsidiary like projects that spin out of the pond, so to speak. where they license their fly frogs back to the project that would generate revenue, and then for that licensing they would receive a fee from the revenue generated there. That's a hat tip to the NFT attorney that came up with that mechanism. But I'm curious on the commercial rights of the FlyFrogs holders.
Yeah, so we've given holders the commercial rights. So the whole mechanism you just described would be really cool.
Hey, yo.
I know people have printed their frogs. I don't know if anyone's selling them, but I know they printed them on canvases and some pillows and a T-shirt. It's pretty cool to see how people take the initiative to get this merch made. And
I would love nothing more than for people to monetize and make money off of the frogs that they own. That would be super cool. I think that would not only bring a lot of value to the project, but it would empower people to to empower them to be creative and have financial success with their assets, which would be amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, Josh, I feel like it's worth like flexing your toy industry chops here, man. I mean,
Yes.
For people who don't know what you've done, they're like, they might be thinking, oh, cool, a 3D frog. Like anyone can say that, but Josh is like the real deal, man. He's like done some, incredible stuff in the toy industry.
Yeah, and the 3D printed frog, the eyes, you can take them out and put them back in, which you can just imagine the potential for like, oh, we're going to make eyes of different traits, and you'd be able to exchange them. I think that could just be awesome.
Well, because I already know it's a super strong play pattern for kids to swap parts in and out, and it lends itself nicely to PFP projects. Like for years and years, Marvel was so resistant to let Hasbro make superheroes that you could mix and match the parts. They're like, no, you can't put Iron Man's head on like Hulk's body. And then finally Hasbro convinced them, where they had these superhero mashup toys, and they sold so well. Kids just loved it. Like adults think like, oh, you can't do that. Like it doesn't make sense with the story or the aesthetic. Kids don't care about that. They just want to have fun and experiment. And that seems like what this NFT space is like. And back to the frogs and other PFP projects, it's all about swapping out the different properties. And if you could do that in a real toy in real life, that would be super cool. So I plan to build that into the prototypes that I make. But yeah, I'm part of a team that invents toys and sells them to toy companies, and we come up with and prototype hundreds of ideas a year. Like all we do is, that's like a whole thing, is coming up with ideas and prototyping and pitching, and then we sell about 7 to 10 a year. So out of the hundreds of projects we do, only maybe 10 of them become real toys every year. And out of those 10, only a few of them are really financially successful. So it's an interesting business model, where it's like this funnel of idea generation. You have to start off with tons of ideas and eventually funnel down to a few that really are successful in the market. But yeah, some of my favorite projects that I have, of course, are Barbie's transforming glamper vans. Barbie doesn't go camping, she goes glamping, which is camping in style. So yeah, I've been inventing camper vans for years. We've had the last 4. Every 2 years, Barbie needs a new camper van, and we've invented the last 4. My favorite one was where you just press a button on the top, and it like transforms open into like the ultimate camping experience with like a pool and a full size like kitchen and bathroom and closet and hammocks and pop-up top. That's the kind of stuff I do. Like with the press of a button, this thing transforms.
That's awesome. So like, yeah. Pulling on your experience in the toy industry, I'm curious, like, what are some, obviously you don't want to say trade secrets, but like tricks of the trade to help some of these projects gain some success and stay for the long run that you think could be applicable to the NFT PFP space in particular?
Well, there's already a couple things I've noticed that are so relevant and like mirroring of what toys are. Like, it's been a hot trend in toys for maybe 4 or 5 years now, this blind pack unboxing. Like it really got big with MGA's LOL dolls, which have been, the top selling toy, I think not just girls' toy, but toy for like years. It's that ball and it's like, you don't know what's inside, and then you open it up and it's all these layers of surprises.
Exactly what you're talking about, man. Seriously.
Like after,
loves that.
Yeah. Anyone who has a daughter knows exactly what I'm talking about. Like, and then that kicked off this like super popular trend of like all these, it's still really popular, blind pack, like you don't know what you're getting. And parents didn't understand it. They're like, why why would I buy something for a kid? Why do they want it if they don't know what's inside? And kids just loved it. And that's what we have with these PFP projects. Like when we sold the frogs, just like a lot of other projects, people didn't know what they were getting. Right, Rizzle? You were like, I want 4 frogs, and you didn't know what you were going to get.
Yeah, man.
That's the perfect one.
That was exciting.
Like, I think people in the NFT space are like it's kind of like being a kid again. Like kids know this, and it's really fun for adults to be in this space too. And then the rarity, like, there's whenever you buy a toy, of course, there's a cross sell. The toy company wants to sell other toys, so they have this little sheet that shows all the other little characters, and they have different rarities, and some of them are black with little question marks on them. So, when we go and do rarity tools on our project and all the other projects out there, like rarity is another fun like mechanic that's been, utilized in the toy and game industry as well that these projects are doing. So there's just I just see a lot of similarities, and it's just interesting to see how like grown-ups are now partaking in this just the way kids have been doing for many years now.
Dude, those are all like really fascinating, like I don't know, fascinating perspective, man, coming from like the profession that you're coming from and everything. And I feel like your mantra has always been like fun. Let's have fun with this. As like an overarching theme, and I feel like we've done a pretty good job of that and have like actually introduced some like cool stuff, again, leaning on Molly, maybe now's like a good time to sort of explain what's going on, like with these, what we've done with these flies, how it works, what's going on with the tadpoles, and, just sort of like some of the wacky mechanics we've introduced that are already public, even if some of them we haven't explained yet. There are things in people's wallets that we have given to people, and Molly's done some interesting stuff that I don't know that I've seen other projects do. We were just talking about this the other day. I'm like, I don't know that I've seen other projects doing this with the Polygon tokens, but I'll let like Molly explain what we're doing here.
Yeah, so we read pretty early on, told the community like tadpoles are coming, but we left it very vague as to how that was all going to work. And what we ended up landing on was doing an airdrop of a bunch of different tokens. Like there's flies, there's a special one for being a Frogy that was there before we sold out those original 250 frogs. There's a dragonfly, there's a water lily, and we're a little vague on what some of them are. Now we've already told people that flies are for breeding tadpoles. So if you want to breed a tadpole, you've got to burn 2 flies to do it, in addition to holding your frogs. And frogs stick around. But anyway, this whole airdrop happened on Polygon, which we were excited about because the project was able to pay the gas fees. No one had to pay anything to get these flies and other items.
And people are selling them.
Yeah, so people are already selling them.
We airdrop things to people for free, and they've been selling them. So, which is cool. Some people have been making money off of them.
Yeah, I think the technical challenge, which I've been experiencing very personally the last few weeks, has been because we want the tadpoles to be minted on mainnet. So just this getting mainnet and Polygon to talk together in a easy way from a user experience side has been pretty challenging, but I think it's all going to pay off very soon.
Yeah,
I don't know how much alpha we're dropping, but it's all going to pay off where you're going to be able to breed your frogs, spend your 2 Polygon flies, and then you get your beautiful new tadpole, which is a mix of your frog's traits plus some fun recessive things thrown in. And no one knows what we're going to get. We don't know what the tadpole collection is going to look like because it's all about what the community decides to breed.
Yeah, that's what's super exciting.
Yeah.
The tadpoles are going to look like what the community decides they will look like.
Yeah. And I think we were also like, one of the reasons we decided to do this fly burning mechanism as a way to pay for your tadpoles was that we wanted people to be able to breed their frogs as many times as they wanted. So it's not just like once your frog has been bred, you can never do it again. You could say you love these 2 frogs, you could just keep making a whole family with the same parents.
Yeah, I think we wanted people to be like flexible. Like if you only own 2 frogs, You can get more than one tadpole. You just buy some flies from other people, and you can breed more tadpoles if you want.
And there's 10,000 flies out there, so that's kind of the tokenomic side of it, is that the tadpoles are capped at around 5,000, because there is the possibility to get twins, which is basically a bonus tadpole.
Or if you have a Fro G badge, you have very high likelihood of getting twins.
That's true. Yeah. And you can buy a Fro G badge, which we decided to allow. So you could just, pose as a fake Fro G.
Yeah, you can buy any of these things. We wanted to give people the ability to sell and make money off of anything we gave them. Obviously, no one sold a Fro G badge yet, because why would a Fro G sell?
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm excited for the art because if you look, the frog takes up a lot of the frame. It's in a little square, and it's a pretty big frog. And these tadpoles are much smaller in the frame, and there's all this space around them. So I've been filling up that space with all sorts of cool things. So even you, Rizzle, I haven't been showing you much because I want you to be surprised at some of the cool stuff I've drawn up.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if you have a frog with a certain outfit, you'll be surprised at what it breeds.
Mm-hmm. There's also this whole prize situation that Josh came up with, actually. We've got a list in our Discord of, if someone breeds tadpoles with certain traits, they're eligible to win some ETH.
Yeah, I thought it would be fun. Like if you breed, so the top prize, what's the top one? Metal. If you breed a tadpole that has the metal outfit, you get 0.1 ETH, but nobody. That's the most vague one. No one knows. Actually, did I tell you, Molly? Only me and Molly.
You had to tell me so I could write it in
the specific combination of frog that you have to breed to get that metal tadpole.
Yeah. Some of the other prizes are a little more obvious. So if someone really wants to get that prize, they can make sure they've got those frogs.
Yeah, like chocolate strawberry prize is kind of obvious. Breed a chocolate donut frog with a strawberry frog.
You get a swirly tadpole.
You get a chocolate swirl tadpole.
There's a chance you don't. But
well, there's always a chance you could get recessive traits.
You get the swirl.
You could always get recessive traits, which will throw you.
Probability, man.
I love the recessive traits. One of the things we always love to do with our guests towards the end is sort of like an intrusive wallet shakedown. Although, Josh, I already know that you've got a bunch of different projects in your wallet because you've been doing. And dude, honestly, man, going back to what I was saying before, I really appreciate, like, in general, both of your strong sentiment that, like, art is fun to create and give out to people. And I feel like that's one of the really cool things about this project is, you guys have been, like, very, very liberal about just, like, giving away art. And, like, we spun up a couple separate OpenSea accounts so we can just mint doodles, and they're in their own, like, frog pond. And then we have, like, the fly trap with, like, all these strange things that we're airdropping on people. And I just like the mantra of spreading the love, which is like this. My segue into our wallet shakedown is that you're like literally buying projects and making frog versions of them and posting them on Twitter like multiple times a week, dude. They're incredible. But I'm also interested in what Molly has been scooping up as well, or if you guys share a wallet. What's in your wallet that you guys have been collecting?
Yeah. Well, I told you I can't stop drawing frogs, so of course I've been drawing, frogs based on other PFP projects that I've been buying. Oh, but I want to say one more thing about the tadpoles.
What's that?
That we had a doodle contest for the tadpoles, and I've taken all the recessive traits are based off of doodles that people in our community drew. So I'm excited for people. I'm excited for people in the community to see tadpoles and be like, "Oh, I doodled that. I inspired that recessive trait." I love crowds. I think that, everyone is super creative, and I'm really excited for people in the community to be part of the art. But yeah, I can tell you what's in my wallet. Anything on your end, Molly? We have different wallets, and I don't tell Molly what I buy until after I buy it.
That's the way to do it.
I recently bought a couple of Crazy Crows from the Crazy Crow Chess Club, because the developer over there, I think, is he Kingmaker, might be his name, Dottie? He wrote this amazing blog post about this cool cross-chain sort of minting randomization process he did, where you can breed your crows, and that he was able to actually do all of the trait picking on chain by sending it over to Polygon so that it wouldn't be so expensive. And then you listen for that event on Polygon, and he puts those traits in the metadata for that mainnet NFT. I'm not doing justice. Everyone should go read this blog post. It's amazing. But anyway, I bought a couple of crows because I wanted to eventually give it a shot. I'm actually waiting for he has another breeding mechanism planned where you get an egg and you can wait for it to add more cool traits. I don't know. It's very complicated, but I've got a couple crazy crows.
Yeah, awesome. For me, the first NFT I ever bought was my own frog. So I actually had to buy, other than my FroG PFP, I had to buy them all in the secondary. We minted out so quickly that I never had an opportunity to mint any of my own frogs. So I've been buying them on the secondary, just the ones that I like. I just buy based off of the ones that I like, not anything like rarity or whatever. But only recently, maybe a few weeks ago, I decided to start not just collecting, but I see it more as supporting other projects that I'm inspired by, mostly by the art. I sort of lean art first. So I bought a sup duck because I just love that artwork so much. And of course I bought, one with a little frog in its pocket. If anything is a frog trait, that's what I buy first. And I bought one force, Aniforce. I don't know how to say it exactly, but I just love the art, the line work, the colors. I think the colors are just so amazing on that project. And then Doodle, I bought a Doodle that kind of looks like me. Of course, I feel like that's what most people do with Doodles. But I've been buying the ones that I really, really am inspired by the artists and their craft and their quality. Because there's so many projects out there. And I've always been very I'm actually very critical. I usually am not vocal about it. I won't be critical about something I don't like, but I am very critical of art, and I really only want to buy and support the ones that I really respect the craft of the artist. And then of course I'm using the opportunity as a little bit to have fun and draw frogs, and also a little bit of marketing. So I've been drawing, I call it myself, because I'm the frog. I dress myself up as the NFTs that I buy. So I actually, when I go to buy them, I buy ones that I like, but I also think would look cool as a frog. So I'm I sort of have that in my mind, ooh, this one would look cool if I drew it up as a frog. So I've been doing that because I really want to start supporting other projects myself, and also have some community bonding, bring some of them into our community or bring some frogs into other communities. I've started replying on Twitter now, when someone buys a sup duck, I'll reply with my duck and say, sup.
Yeah, exactly.
Because from my perspective, I love when people do that on my project. It just feels good. So I've started to do that for other people on their project to support them as well. And the other night I bought a dead fella, and I bought a lazy lion. So those are going to be next.
I didn't know you bought a lazy lion.
Yeah, I don't tell Molly. Yeah, that's because that's because it costs I don't know, almost 2 ETH. So.
It all comes out.
Basically, I want to reinvest. I want to keep, some of the personal ETH that I have now, on the blockchain in ETH, and support other NFT projects. Well, we haven't, I like to joke about what was that funny joke? Someone said something about a Lambo, and it's oh, you can't drive a Lambo in a pond.
I think that probably was a chupacabra. Chad Polian
said that, and I was can't drive a Lambo in a pond, but it's true. We don't. So far, we haven't bought anything in real life. We're just. I'm excited to to put some more love and time and energy and ETH back into this space and support other projects.
Yeah. God, there's so much in there as you're like rattling off what's in your wallets that I think are just like really sharp points. How you said like you're vibing with these other projects like Subducks, everyone goes sub to one another. Another project has like similar community sentiment, like inter-community sentiment, like Cryptodes. Everyone that has a Cryptodes like just vibing together. And it really, there's a tweet that I think Shiny put out yesterday, and it was just the NFTs are new friendship technology. It just feels like all of these projects are just ways to become even better friends or to become friends in the first place. All these crazy cool people that are jumping into the pond or jumping into the swamp or, like whatever section of NFT land they're popping up in their projects. And then Molly, what you're doing with the integration with Polygon, I think, as someone who built on Polygon with valuables back at the beginning of the year, minting tweets and NFTs, I've just been waiting for more projects to take advantage of the tools that they have over there and just like the better user experience with like not having to be gouged with pricing and gas fees and things like that to have fun with their projects. So hopefully a lot of other people take your lead, and I guess you were inspired by Crazy Crows and that whole thing. So yeah, I love listening to you guys, and Josh, I love seeing your doodles on Twitter. It keeps reminding me of FlyFrogs, and I think it inspires other people to want to be a part of what both of you and Rizzle and the rest of the team have been helping to turn into a reality. But before we do go, I just want to make sure that you share all the handles and events that are upcoming with the folks so that they are following you the proper channels and so that they pencil in the right events to make sure that they don't miss with FlyFrogs.
Yeah, I mean, we should have links to most of the things on Twitter we're FlyFrogs NFT on Twitter, right, Molly?
Yes, FlyFrogs with an S, NFT, all one word.
And we have a link to our Discord there. And in our Discord is really where we have a channel with all the official links to all the cool stuff you can find. We have our Doodle Pond on OpenSea, which we've been putting more and more artwork on. So you can find most of the links in our Discord. Which you can find from Twitter.
Yeah, and we're also flyfrogs.xyz is the website.
Yeah, FlyFrogs.xyz. That's where we'll be able to mint tadpoles from the website.
Yes, sometime. Whenever Rizzle says we're allowed to say it is.
It'll be soon.
And if you're interested in following the FlyFrogs wacky Overlord, that would be Lord of the Pond on Twitter.
That's Lord of the Pond, although he bought a bunch of flies recently because he really, really wants to get some tadpoles. So maybe we should start calling you Lord of the Flies.
I'm going to make a small militia with Lord of the Pond.
Awesome. Well, Josh, Molly, it was an absolute pleasure to chat with you and have you on the Matthew and Rizzle show and dig into everything that you're doing with FlyFrogs. And yeah, I just hope the two of you keep on creating.
Thanks so much for having us. This was great.
Thank you. Ribbit.
Ribbit.
Thank you all.